rise in operational expenses. For businesses, for businesses already dealing with higher costs, any reduction in the tax burden could improve cash flow and potentially support investment, employment, and prices. However, the government must balance business support against wider pressure on public finances. The October budget would therefore be closely watched on how far ministers are prepared to go in easing costs without creating additional fiscal strain. The measures adopted could influence business confidence and the operating environment across the United Kingdom economy. Now, wildfires sweeping through British Columbia's wine country have reported destroyed grapes, damaged fruit crops, and forced farmers, workers, and residents to evacuate. Cattle have been left stranded in dangerous areas as flames spread through farming communities, while some affected residents have sought shelter in church basements or with friends after losing their homes. The damage threatens one of the region's important cultural and tourism sectors, and wine producers face not only the immediate loss of crops and property, but also the possibility of long-term disruptions to buy-ins. Production and employment lighting Rock Winery owner said he fled to safety while trying to keep track of staff, friends, and business associates who had been scattered after the fire destroyed their homes. The economic consequences could therefore persist long after the fires are brought under control. Now, farmers and wineries may face substantial rebuilding costs, reduced production, and lost income, while affected communities will need support to restore homes, businesses, and agricultural infrastructure. The crisis also highlights the wider economic risks that increasingly severe wildfires can pose to climate-sensitive industries. The International Energy Agency, IEA, says global oil supply is expected to contract by 4.3 million barrels per day, roughly 4% in 2026, as renewed conflict in the Middle East deepens pressure on energy markets. Total global production is now projected at about 102.02 million barrels per day, while the expected supply deficit for the year has widened to 1.27 million barrels per day. The disruption is also affecting refining capacity, with global refining crude processing projected to fall by 5 million barrels per day year on year. Ukrainian drone strikes on Russian facilities have kept Moscow's refining output near 20-year lows, while processing capacity in the Middle East remains constrained. The combination of reduced supply and refined disruption has pushed refining margins to historically high level. For consumers and businesses, the immediate concern is higher energy costs and possible fuel shortages. The IEA expects elevated prices and supply constraints to reduce global oil demand by 1.5 million barrels per day this year. Now, in Russia, where the President Vladimir Putin has warned that the country would respond in kind if European countries begin seizing Russian merchant vessels, escalating tensions over maritime enforcement. President Putin issued the warning while overseeing naval exercises in Russia's Far East, while the commander of Russia's Pacific Fleet said Russian forces were prepared to inspect and detain foreign vessels. The comments come as the European Union increases pressure on Russia's so-called shadow fleet, expanding sanctions against hundreds of vessels and conducting checks on some ships and crews. Several European governments are also considering tougher measures against vessels suspected of helping Russia evade sanctions. The situation raises the risk of further confrontation on international waterways, and any escalation involving commercial vessels could affect shipping security. Now, insurance costs as well as the movement of goods can be affected, while also increasing the possibility of direct confrontation between Russia and European states. Finally, in sport news, Victor Osimhen and Paul Onuachu are expected to face strong competition for the Turkish Super League Golden Boot during the 2026-2027 season. Osimhen won the award in the 2024-2025 season with 26 league goals, while Onuachu and Elder shared last season's honor after scoring 22 goals each. The arrival of major international strikers is expected to intensify the competition. Mohamed Salah has joined Trabzonspor after 9 seasons at Liverpool, while Romelu Lukaku has moved to Fenerbahce from Napoli. Their presence adds significant attacking quality to a league already featuring 2 of Nigeria's leading forwards. For Nigerian football, the competition provides another opportunity for Osimhen and Onuachu to maintain their prominence on the international stage. And with that, it's a wrap on the news today, but before we go, a quick look at today's top stories. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called for stronger cooperation against security threats. Nigeria reviewed crude rules to support domestic refiners. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has reached $439 million credit agreement with Guinea. Canada intensified talks with the United States ahead of August 19th tariffs. And in sport news, Victor Osimhen, Paulo Nuachu face new Super League Golden Boot rivals. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to follow us across all of our social media platforms at SOUQ News Television and SOUQ Digital. I am Sarah Obusanza. Have a good afternoon.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800-2255-4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806-656-472 and the